GB News has been granted access to Lord Hugo Swire. Now, he is a former Foreign Office Minister, but he's also the Deputy Chair of the Commonwealth Enterprise Investment Council, and he spent the afternoon with His Majesty the King here at the Commonwealth Business Forum in Samoa, and also the Sustainable Markets Initiative, something set up by His Majesty the King in 2020 when he was Prince of Wales to try and encourage the private sector to be more sustainable and meet climate targets. So I spoke to him about that, but also about how the Commonwealth, in his view, can create opportunities for Great Britain after Brexit and what he thinks about calls for reparations from Britain. How important is his Sustainable Markets Initiative for combating climate change?
I think it's very important. Of course, it's brought to light when you're in somewhere like Samoa, a small developing island state, which is so incredibly vulnerable to the effects of climate change. I mean, it just takes the sea level to rise by a few meters, and then countries like this are in real trouble. We've seen countries in this part of the world where they've actually already had to forcibly relocate their population away from beach areas, for instance, because the water is rising.
How important is it to have King Charles as the symbolic head of the Commonwealth? Because, of course, it's not hereditary. He did take over from his mother. That was voted on in 2018. But what's the significance of him being there personally?
Well, I think he's a hugely unifying figure and a much admired figure amongst the 56 countries of the Commonwealth. And as you say, when the Queen rather assumed the leadership of the Commonwealth, and the King was actually elected to be head of the Commonwealth. He's rather more than a symbolic figure. I mean, he is the head of the Commonwealth, and he's here in that capacity. It's quite confusing, I think, for people to follow, because, of course, he was in Australia as head of state, and he's here as head of the Commonwealth. So he's not here in a bilateral UK way at all.
Do you think his son, Prince William, will one day take over as head?
Well, I very much hope so, but maybe I'll be too old to be around to to know if that's going to be happening or not. I'd like to see the Prince of Wales doing more with the Commonwealth. I think it's difficult because it's very much the King's thing, but I would very much hope, and again it'll be up to the members of the Commonwealth at the time, and of course the Commonwealth is a very different body than once it was. I mean, the most recent accession countries to the Commonwealth, which is part of the strength of the modern day Commonwealth, have no historic links with the UK at all. Togo, Gabon, Cameroon, countries like that. So maybe, there'll be arguments one way or the other, but I hope the continuity will be there.
And do you think that creates an opportunity for Great Britain specifically after Brexit?
Yes, I do. I absolutely do. I think it created a great opportunity for Britain before Brexit, but the Commonwealth has been slightly neglected. I know from my time in government, always trying to push the Commonwealth, and it wasn't always easy. But I think you've got to look at the history of it. I mean, when the Commonwealth was formed out of the dying embers of the British Empire after the war, and then quite shortly after that, we went into the EU, and we were very focused within the EU, and the Commonwealth was a kind of embarrassing sideshow. It wasn't, of course, but that's how it was viewed. Now we're outside the EU, we've got to articulate our own foreign policy and our own vision. And here on our doorstep, lo and behold, we have a ready group of like-minded people, 55 other countries with us, and more to join, I suspect, who really want to get on and do things together.
And there has been some calls from Caribbean nations here to raise the issue of reparations and slavery reparations from Great Britain. What's your view on that?
Well, I'm not sure this is the right forum to do that. I think those should be bilateral discussions. But I would like, as I said, I would like to look forwards, not backwards. And I think if there is to be a discussion about what we can do in this area, we should be concentrating on stamping out the evils of modern-day slavery, which is pernicious and existing. And that would be a huge, huge acknowledgement of maybe the ills of the past if we dealt with the ills of the present.
I think the Prime Minister's spokesperson said earlier this week that he will not be offering a formal apology. What's your reaction to that?
I would agree with that.